So Neon and Osgood Perkins have teamed up once again to release another horror movie in theaters titled Keeper, and this is my spoiler-free review of the movie. And Osgood Perkins hasn't really been on the scene for a super long time, but I already have kind of a complicated relationship with his movies. I felt like Longlegs was extremely overhyped, but I did end up thinking that movie was good. It just had a bad ending. And I thought it was a good little soft launch for his career to show us his potential. And I did think it did show that potential because he has a great eye for visuals. So when I saw that he was coming out with 2 new films in 2025, I was kind of looking forward to him. That was until I watched The Monkey and I was massively disappointed with it. Just as a horror film, it just failed on so many levels, but as a dark comedy, it did succeed. But I only gave The Monkey a 3 out of 5, so I just thought it was decent. And going into Keeper, I just wanted him to make a movie that I absolutely love. And unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. Starting out with my positives, like I said earlier, Osgood Perkins has a great eye for visuals, and the cinematography and just the atmosphere in this film is really good. Honestly, I think the director that I can compare Osgood Perkins the most to is Zack Snyder, because just like Zack Snyder, his visuals are on point in like all of his movies, but the writing and the stories are just lacking. Now, to be fair, he does not have a writing credit, at least on IMDb for this film, so I guess I can't really pin all of the story issues in this film on Osgood Perkins. Another one of my positives is that Tatiana Maslany gives a great lead performance. And there are so many scenes where she just looks genuinely terrified. And I feel like a lot of times in horror movies, that emotion doesn't always come across the right way. So I really do like to give credit where it's due when actors or actresses can pull that off. And I touched a little bit on this positive earlier, but Osgood Perkins creates a really dreadful atmosphere that I really enjoyed. And I think that's one of the aspects of his directing that he's most consistently good at. But that's honestly where my positives end with Keeper, because this film drags in its first 2 acts, in my opinion. But I will say, when it finally did pick up in the 3rd act, my score started to go up dramatically. The like artsy transitions between scenes just took me out of the movie a lot. It kind of just felt like he was spamming them for the film bros and they just didn't add a whole lot. Also, while the pacing is slow, this movie still feels like it's in a rush to its conclusion in the 3rd act. And it felt like I was just left with more questions than answers by the time the credits rolled, and that's where a lot of my unsatisfaction with this film comes from. But overall though, I would recommend checking out Keeper for yourself if you're a horror movie fan, because I've been seeing a lot of reception online where a ton of people are loving this film. Even my girlfriend liked it a lot more than I did. But unfortunately, I just wasn't one of those people. But here's my scorecard for Keeper. Y'all let me know what y'all thought of the film in the comments, and make sure to follow for more movie content just like this.